In order to make money, we have to do something that sucks. Like, we just have to put in a bunch of time doing this thing that we don't actually want to do in order to get money, which we need in order to do these other things we actually want to do. And part of this channel is saying that that doesn't have to be the case. Hey beautiful people, how are you? My name is Connor. You're watching ThrivingMinimalist.com. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're talking about this kind of theme of money and work. I really like this theme a lot because I think it does play in to living a minimalist life, living a healthy life, living a life of abundance. And that's really what I'm seeking to share with you on this channel, is how to create a life of abundance through a tool of minimalism or through any other kind of tool that's going to help you kind of get that. And I just want to share my experience. And I get a lot of questions about, you know, how do I make money as an entrepreneur? How can I like jump into something that I'm really passionate about, or I'm working too many hours at this thing that I hate doing and I want to turn some of that energy into something that's really going to feed me and fuel me. So, to share my experience in how many hours I actually work, not just as a minimalist, not just as a nomad, but as someone who's running their own business full time and creating an income completely out of the things that I'm passionate about. How many hours am I actually dedicating per week to that endeavor? I'm gonna break this video up a little bit so that it's easy to digest, a little more fun to watch. We've got a few different sections. Let's jump right into it. So to answer the question, how many hours a week do I work, is actually kind of it's not a straightforward answer at all. And there's a few different reasons for that. But the first is, you know, what I call work, it may be different than what other people call work. And in fact, I really am intentional about the language I use, and I speak about this in other videos. Language is so important. It shapes our narrative. It shapes our story about our lives. And as you know, the perception of our life is really what contributes to our feeling about life, how we feel about ourselves and about our existence in this world. So if we're always using language that doesn't feel very good to describe our life or our existence within life, we probably aren't going to be able to feel very good inside. So the word work tends to bring about some feelings that are less than exciting. And so I've changed that word into something that I generally call play. You know, so when I'm getting on the computer to do work, I generally say, I'm gonna go play on the computer for a bit, something like that. And that really helps, because the fact is that work for me doesn't actually feel tough or grueling or like I have to do it, like we often associate that word with. But it does feel more like I'm choosing to do it, it's enjoyable for me, I like to do it, and so it does feel often more like play than work. And another thing to go along with that is we often associate, you know, making money. In order to make money, we have to do something that sucks. Like, we just have to put in a bunch of time doing this thing that we don't actually want to do in order to get money, which we need in order to do these other things we actually want to do. And part of this channel is saying that doesn't have to be the case. We don't have to live a life that sucks. We don't have to live a life of compromises. We have to do this thing in order to do this thing. And part of being able to release ourselves from that type of dichotomy is using a tool like minimalism, so that if we are feeling like we have to create a bunch of wealth by doing something that we don't like doing, that we can maybe reduce the amount of expenditure we're putting out in order to reduce the amount of the thing that we have to do that we don't enjoy doing. But there's another level to it. We don't have to work. We can play and make money from that, and there's nothing wrong with that. And in fact, that's a really beautiful way, I believe, to create wealth in the world. And if we all put our passions to work, so to speak, I think the world would be a lot happier, it'd be a lot fuller, it'd be a lot more of a beautiful place. And the fact is, we've just never seen that. So it's hard to conceptualize. But I think that it would be a very, very different place to live. And I think we would have a lot more health and happiness and love going on. So to get a little more specific about this question, how many hours a week do I work? Well, I'd like to elaborate on my kind of work schedule a little bit and maybe where my energy goes when I am working. I run with Brittany Taylor a festival in Thailand, and we run a retreat during that festival, and we also run the festival itself. It's about a 10-day festival, and during that time we're pretty much working all the time. Like every hour, every minute, every second the energy is being put out into the festival. We also are attending a new festival this year called the UK Fruit Fest, where we'll be working. And during that time, we're going to be expending this kind of work type energy the entire time. We also go to the Woodstock Fruit Festival in upstate New York. If you'd like to attend that festival, you can get $100 off by using this discount code called Sweet Fun when you sign up. And we love that festival. We also, when we're there, are kind of working the entire time. So any of these festivals that we're putting on, we're also putting on a new one in Austin this coming year. We put in energy the entire festival. Even if we're not teaching an acro class or presenting on relationships or minimalism or health or whatever it might be, in that moment, we're still kind of working because we're there, showing up with this type of energy where we're expending this energy into this festival. Our job, so to speak, is to be there and to be present and to be communicating, connecting with other people. And even if we're not teaching a class or presenting in that very moment, our job is to show up and to put out energy. And so it does, in a sense, kind of feel like work. But again, it doesn't feel like the kind of work that most of us think of when we think about work. It much more feels like play, but we are dedicating a certain amount of energy into this thing. And so it is kind of associated with that other context we're talking about here. When we're not at festivals, the work that we're doing, is different. And we have a choice in how much we can put into that space every single day. For me, in a sense, life is work, because what I'm putting out into the world to make money is my lifestyle and my passions. So sometimes it feels like I'll get on this kick of waking up in the morning and every day jumping on the computer and doing very specific kind of work. I'm working on maybe a project or some videos, editing some videos every single day, or maybe emailing clients, or maybe working with a client on the phone every single day. Whatever it might be, it's very obvious to me where this energy is going. At other times, I might spend a few days processing something with Brittany, or doing a lot of writing, or doing a lot of meditation, or a lot of movement practice. And in a sense, there's this feeling like, oh, well, I'm not really working. But the truth is, anything that I'm doing in my life to sort of work on my self-development is work. Because then what I do with that is I share that experience, and I also present more of myself, because I've been working on myself, to the world. And that is my business. My business is to work on my own self-development and to share it, to work on my communication skills, to work on mindfulness, to work on movement, and to share that. And it's less, I believe that the way to change the world is by modeling, is to actually just be the change you want to see. We've all heard that quote before. Be the change you want to see, rather than teach something. And although I am in a teaching kind of leadership role from time to time, I think that the most effective way to learn something is by having the curiosity and the desire to learn it, and watching someone else do the thing that you want and then to model that and then make it your own, rather than put someone into a classroom and teach them a thing that maybe they want to know about, maybe they don't. But that general setup seems to be very much less effective than just simply modeling it. So that's how I like to walk the world, is by creating what I want to see in the world and just being that, and allowing other people to pick up on the elements of my lifestyle that they want to. And that's kind of how I make money, in a sense. You know, I make these YouTube videos, I sell programs that are based on self-development that I've experienced. I work as a therapist in a modality that I myself experience massive growth in and very connected with. You know, and there's these other elements that I kind of sell or make money from that are just me, you know, they're my passions, they're my experience, and it's something I bring to the world, and I get paid for in one way or another. When I was working a more standard kind of job, even if it was for myself, but I was working for clients to renovate a house, or maybe clean up their property, or fix some plumbing, or whatever it might have been when I was a building contractor. I had a sense of a more fixed hours. I was working anywhere from 60 to 80 hours a week, and in my mind I had to show up at a certain time, I had to get a certain amount of work done, and then I needed to leave. And that kind of setup, it worked okay for me. But I think what we lose is potency. And I think a lot of people have experienced this, especially in jobs where they really are not passionate and they have to show up at a fixed amount of time, and the job they just don't resonate with. To try and find potency every single day between 9 o'clock and 5 o'clock at a job that you're not really jiving with is probably going to be pretty difficult. But we all know that when we're really excited about something and we want to do the thing that we're doing, we get a lot done in a very short amount of time. So the work that I might do at times, like say it's very specific, like it's computer work, and I wake up and maybe I only do an hour of computer work. But the amount of stuff I can get done when I'm really excited about something, feeling really passionate and connected to the thing that I'm working on, is like an 8-hour day or like a 10-hour day for maybe someone else who's sitting in an office and trying to do that same thing, but they're not really feeling connected with it or loving what they're doing. So I think potency is really important to think about, you know. We don't want to waste our lives. We don't want to waste our time. We don't want to feel like we're just not doing anything. But the idea that if we show up at our job from this time to this time, that's 8 hours of work. But is it really? Is it really if we're just sitting there? Isn't that just pain? I mean, isn't that just showing up and being in pain for 8 hours and then getting paid? I mean, I think that's why the association with the word work is so painful, because oftentimes we do find ourselves really not engaged, really not putting the energy into the thing that we are working on, but rather just kind of showing up and feeling forced to do so. And I think that's kind of a bummer. And I do understand that a lot of us feel like we have to do that, and I also felt like I had to do that for a big chunk of my life. And I no longer believe that any one of us has to do that. And I think we can, all of us, take steps towards changing that. All of us have the ability to take steps towards changing that. You might not be able to just flip a switch and today quit what you're doing and make a ton of money from your passion, but I do believe that you can take steps today to change that. So to swing back around to the initial question of how many hours a week do I work, again, it's not possible for me to put a number on it, but I've heard about this concept in this book called the 4-hour work week, and I think that that's totally possible. I think you can totally work 4 hours a week and make plenty of money, but it really depends. It depends on what your skill sets are and what you're excited about and how much passion you're gonna bring to the table when you go after this endeavor of making money from work. And I think this is the key point. It's not so much thinking about the question, well, how can I reduce my workload? But rather, how can I make money from something that's awesome? And I think this is where we can bridge this gap here that a lot of us have, where money is associated with doing something we don't want to do. Let's change that and let's make money from things we want to do, because then it'll never feel like work. I don't sell things or promote things that I don't personally resonate with. And that's why anything and everything I do feels fun and good for me. And even when I'm processing difficult emotions or having a kind of a challenging day, I view that as growth. And growth for me is part of my job. That's how I've presented it in the world. And I don't ever refer to the things that I do as a job, and I very rarely refer to the things that I do in life as work. But I'm using those terms because that's the concept that we have put them in. And so it's easier to understand if I use those terms. I make money from my passions. I make money from my self-development. I make money from my experiences. And that is not something that all of us want to do. Some of us want to make money from other things. And I think that that's fantastic. And that is why, because our desires are all varied, vastly varied, that I'm not concerned that if we all followed our passions in making money, that there would just be, like, not everyone can do it, kind of a concept. We all can do that. We all can make money from our passions, because some people's passions are simply making money. And so the jobs that others don't want to do, those people will do those jobs in order to make money. That's how these things kind of work. And I think that there's a very natural and organic economy that can be had from living our passions. And we're just not there. We're just not living in that world right now. And that's okay too. But let's not pretend. Let's not say it won't work when we've never actually tried it. I personally believe that you can do it. You can live a life of passion and make money doing so. And that's gonna look very different for you than it does for me. I love the work I do. I love it. I love the money that I make from the work I do. I'm really excited to make money, and I'm also really excited to live life, and I'm so excited that I've created a job for myself. I've built it, and I believe the job that I'm putting into the world is a very positive and beautiful one, and I'm super, super proud of it. And that feels pretty amazing. I loved running my own businesses. And I've done it for a very long time, but fixing someone's plumbing, although that did feel really good for me, felt really different than what I'm doing now. And there are people who are absolutely passionate about fixing plumbing, and that is kick-ass. So it's not about the thing itself, it's about the passion that we bring to it. What are we passionate about? What feels really good for us? What feels in alignment with us? And for me, it's talking about this kind of thing and sharing it with you. And I just so appreciate you receiving it. I so appreciate that you're on the other end. If you want to check out my website and see some of the other products that I am selling, get excited about it, go for it. If you have any questions, you have any comments, post down below. If you like the channel and this is the first time tuning in, please subscribe. I put out new videos every week, and I'm looking forward to the next one. Much love to you. Take care. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.